All right, friends, it's T and I'm back, man. We're back with a new video, and guess who, man? AlexLeonidas of Alpha Destiny, man. The gym lifting fitness slave, bro. This is amazing. Well, let's review this video. Alex says dumbbell rows are optimal. Well, dumbbell rows can be, they have their use, yes, definitely. During the adaptation during the, how should I put it, the adapted period, when you're adapted, because you need to get better at lifting because you're not getting stronger anymore. You're not building myofibular growth anymore. Yeah, you just get it in the newbie gains. I know. People are gonna say, "What? I don't understand this video, man." You get these knobs that come around his minions, and then they start to, "Oh, I could barely watch it. I just watched 1 minute of the video and stuff." They never want to get educated because they're too stupid. No, you minions, you're too stupid. You don't want to get educated. Okay, keep failing. Yes.
Fast to learn and guarantees results provided that you get strong enough, which can mean maxing out the dumbbell stack at your local.
All right, hold on. Let's go back to the beginning here. I think I missed that.
Dumbbell rows are the old school optimal row. Simple to do, fast to learn, and
Dumbbell rows are the old school. Listen, man, these people are throwing the dumbbell in the opposite direction against gravity. This is a concentric exercise. It's not eccentric, so it's not associated with muscle damage, which muscle damage is associated with, man, activating the progenitor cells so they can split, divide, increase in number, differentiate, create myotubes, donate their nuclei, and further that MND size domain limit. Understand me? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, this, man, it's, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's an adaptation process. It's not, their fitness doesn't exist, okay? There's just nature, wild, and things that you're doing. These protections on this planet are for a reason. It's protecting from muscle damage, and you're doing eccentric, so it's not associated with muscle damage, so you're safe.
Guarantees results provided that you get strong enough, which can mean
I don't know what he means by getting strong enough. To him, he thinks that getting better at lifting things make you strong, but you're actually really weak. The weakest people that I know are the people that can lift the heaviest stuff because they're weak, because they're lazy, because the weights weaken them. Lifting heavy weakens them. And when it comes time to really do work, like lifting and moving stuff around and everything, like, like movers, like furniture, houses, cars, this, that, they're the laziest motherfuckers that you've ever seen. You'd never want to hire a bodybuilder or a power lifter or a lifter on a construction site. Well, maybe if they're on steroids, they're all gung-ho crazy on drugs, maybe. But a natural person lifting, they're all messed up, man. They're all gone, inflamed, they're moody, they're this, they're that. They got low testosterone because the stress and lifting lowers your testosterone. That's what it does.
Maxing out the dumbbell stack at your local gym, which might only go up
chronic lifting. It's a known fact. Look it up on Google, man. You can all look this up if you don't believe me.
to 100 pounds, but that could be enough for many of you, provided that good technique is used. Which, for today's video, I'm discussing the single arm version with.
See that? He's lifting the weight with his arm. He's just throwing it. He's throwing it. I know, you're all going to say, but he's building muscles. Well, how many people do you know that build muscle? What do you think gyms do? They damage you. There's all kinds of different damages in a gym. What could happen? It could be ROS, hypoxia, could be muscle damage, injuries, whatever. I don't know. Could be a lot of stuff. But he's not damaging muscles. He's not getting micro-injuries, that's for sure. But him lifting this, his back getting big, it could be sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. There's myofibular, sarcoplasmic, there's blood flow restriction, there's cell swelling. I don't know, what else is there? There's, there's like, what is it? Lactic acid and inflammation and yada, yada, yada. There's so many things going on there, man. Glycogen.
Out the knee on the bench. Though feel free to use that if you want. All variations are worth doing. The first thing I want to talk about is the lengthened position. New data is constantly confirming that
He's been watching my video, I know. He's going to talk about the lengthening position, which is the eccentric thing. That's what I've been promoting that on my channel since I've opened it, man. I told you, muscle damage. That's all I ever talked about was micro injuries. It's associated with eccentric exercises. But I don't know. People never listen.
Weighted stretch is the most hypertrophic part of a lift. And ideally, we want strength curves where...
Yeah, he says the stretch is the most important, but it doesn't work in the concentric part. There's nothing going on there. He's just telling himself in his head, he's just trying to brainwash himself, believing that there's a stretch there. There's no stretch. There's no stretch.
The bottom is most difficult, and as we get closer to the top, the exercise becomes easier, which in a free weighted context...
I'm not saying there may not be a little bit, like you're moving your arm, but not much. There's not much going on there.
That usually will not be the case. In fact, the majority of the exercises that you and the old school greats have done have been more so short than biased. How crazy is that?
What's this, him and the old school greats? You're talking about the fucking drug addicts? The old school great drug addicts? Yeah. The great old drug addicts, man. Bring this in. Bring this in. Man, I don't know.
Lat pull downs, weighted pull-ups, bar...
He looks very boyish, his face here. Did he shave his Muslim beard off, or what's going on here?
barbell rows. You notice how...
Is his head bald too? That's why he's wearing the hat.
You get that sticking point towards that contraction portion, right about 90 degrees. You struggle to get the final squeeze. This is exactly why...
He's the only fitness YouTuber I know that can't stand himself. He fucking hates himself. AlexLeonidas hates himself so much that he became a lifting gym fitness slave, bro. Yeah. He shaved his head off numerous times, grown facial hair, not facial hair, beer mode, bear mode, not bear mode, jelking all the time, talking about weird girls and jelking, doing weird things, jumping around in parks, doing crazy stuff. He's one of the fitness influencers that absolutely hate themselves. The other one would be Jason Blaha, and then there's quite a few other ones. They just can't stand themselves. You know that they can't wait to torture their bodies and themselves because they hate the way they look. They're not happy with their body. A good majority of people are not happy with their body. I'm not a lifting slave. I may look like a bodybuilder, but I rarely lift. I'm telling you, man, I'm not a lifting slave or gym slave. I don't hang around gyms or anything. And when people do see me, they give me double, triple takes when they see me in the gym, like 5 months later or 6 months later or 2 years later, 3 years later. Like, where the hell has that guy been? How come he still looks like that? Like a bodybuilder. We're here slaving over these weights and gyms and everything because they don't understand that gyms do not build muscles. Gyms do not build muscles. Food. Damage and food builds muscles and the progenitor cells, definitely. And what will maintain that muscle that you built, that density? Well, food will maintain it if you eat a natural, proper diet. Yeah. There's not much really going on there. I mean, if you start eating foods that are not meant for you, breaking the law of nature and eating these weird man-made engineered foods and whatever, of course, you can't have that body. You have to be on a pure carnivore diet. I told you, I tried the fruit diet, this, that, whatever. I started eating a lot of fruits, this and that. I tried those things, see what was going to happen. It was destroying me. It was diminishing me. My looks were going away. My body was going away. It really was. And then I restored it with carnivore diet really quickly. Yeah.
So many elite bodybuilders do cheat reps. It is to smooth out this resistance profile, which is faulty by design.
Again, you see the guy, he's just throwing the weight up in the air, just like throwing it and throwing it. Is not doing anything other than pumping more glycogen into the muscle. For every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water drawn between skin and muscle into the muscle. And most likely these people are eating a lot of carbohydrates, very little protein and more carbs. Look at the majority of people when they go to the restaurant. They get a little piece of chicken, but the whole plate is filled with like carbs and shit. And more bread on the table, bread, carbs, carbs, carbs. Their drink is carbohydrate. Their drinks are carbs. The bread is carbs. All the shit they put on their plate and everything. And then they have ice cream, more carbs. Their dessert, they have salad with like salad dressing, more carbs. Man, they just have all kinds of weird stuff going on there. Carbs, carbs, carbs.
That's why we can make the case that momentum is not necessarily bad for free weighted row.
Again, he has to lift the heaviest weight because he's throwing it up in the air. This is associated with, how should I put it? It's associated with chemical strength. They're building chemical strength. You think they're building muscles. You don't build muscles in gym, and they're not damaging it. Damage is associated with growth, not this. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's odd. Look, I'll prove it to you, okay? If you don't believe me. So concentric shortening muscle, concentric act contractions. Concentric muscle contractions do not cause exercise-induced muscle damage. Yeah, but exercise-induced muscle damage is evident after isometric contractions at a long muscle length and eccentric muscle contractions, even at low intensity. Low intensity and high intensity, you're gonna get damaged. Yeah, but you throwing the weights up and down, they don't do anything. They just make you better at lifting them. They don't make you stronger. What makes you stronger is the progenitor cell, these stem cells, and muscle damage. When they come out and they repair, remodel the muscle bigger and stronger, and you get stronger. Yeah, but you don't want to do that because you associate DOMS with something being bad, and you don't like pain, so you have to suffer. It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's just like that, man. See, look, how should I put this? You see what causes damage? Because you're accustomed in the gym. You're accustomed, but unaccustomed exercise consisting of eccentric lengthening muscle contractions often result in what? In muscle damage, characterized by ultrastructural alterations in muscle tissue. Clinical signs and symptoms, e.g., reduced muscle strength and range of motion. Are you getting stronger in the gym? You can't get stronger. You get weaker, and then you get stronger. Get it? The range of there's the whatever reduced strength and range of motion, increased muscle soreness and swelling, efflux of and so forth and so on. You can read it here, man. They even have it here in NCBI, exercise-induced muscle damage and adaptation. Here's a novel thing. Unaccustomed exercise has been shown to result in temporary repairable skeletal muscle damage. I mean, this is not nothing new here. You know that. That's nothing new in science, see? After exhaustive endurance exercise, muscle damage can be produced by metabolic disturbances associated with ischemia. Extensive disruption of muscle fibers also occurs after relatively short-term eccentric exercise where high mechanical forces are generated. High mechanical forces are generated. High mechanical, they didn't ever say that with concentric. They say that with eccentric, high mechanical. Biopsies taken after repetitive eccentric muscle actions have revealed broadening, streaming, and at times total disruption of Z discs. Muscles had developed active tension, eccentrically also become sore, loose, inherent force production capability, and show a marked release of muscle proteins into circulation. Creatine kinase, There's a whole bunch of stuff here that's going on, man. Yeah, the post-exercise period before tissue are repaired and so forth and so on. It's an adaptation process such that the indicators of damage are reduced following repeated bouts of exercise. They're reduced. You don't get any more damage with repeated bouts of exercise because it's a protective effect. So if you're not getting damaged, you can't build muscle. Stress susceptible fibers because they also donate their nuclei, which further that domain because they synthesize protein. Be eliminated, the suspect areas have a fiber may undergo necrosis and then regenerate. These regenerative fibers, along with adaptations in the connective tissue, may provide greater resistance to further assault. That's what happens. It will do what? It may provide greater resistance to further assault. These generated new fibers. The new fibers, when you damage them, you get new fibers, yeah. When you damage fibers, they regenerate. You get more fibers. You get these regenerated fibers, along with what? Adaptations in the connective tissue may provide greater resistance to what? Further assault. That's what happens. That's when you get your newbie gains. That's what happens in your newbie gain phase. And it's resistant to further assault.
Any road that is
You are now adapted. So what exactly are you building here? That this guy looks it looks muscular. Does that mean it's muscle? No. He's just throwing this weight up and down in the air.
gravity operated, which is most of the shit that you do. We can actually say this is a con. The only free weight exercise that is more so lengthened buys is a T-bar row or any
Great. He's a great factory worker, that dude.
Anything that has a lever-based mechanism.
Again, T-bar row, you're pulling with your arms a lot. You're not using your back. Now, if you were to reverse and lay your back on the ground and then pull the weight down towards you, you're pulling the weight towards your back, and you laying down and it pulling your body up. You understand me? You're getting a stretch, a pull. That's totally different. That's different. The weight's coming down and up. It's a different kind of movement, different kind of exercise.
That could even be attaching the
It's the opposite.
landmine while you do your weighted pull-ups. So if you want perfection, you need to have an understanding of leverages and come up with creative exercise. For most of you, I wouldn't break your head, but for dumbbell rows, what I do want to point out is that technically, as you get stronger, it becomes a natural length and partial. Stay with
Oh, as you get stronger. You mean as you get better at lifting these weights? Oh, it becomes a lengthened partial. Okay.
me for a sec. Now let me make a comparison between dumbbell bench and
No, it doesn't become a lengthened partial. Notice how he's just swinging the weight up and down. He's swinging it with his arm. He's not relieving the tension slowly. On such an exercise, if you want to get the full eccentric contraction, then you're going to have to move very slow. You can move fast on the up take, but you have to move very slow on the low take. Very slow on the eccentric as opposed to the concentric.
dumbbell row.
See, look,
As you know,
he's dropping it. See, he goes like this and then he just drops it. That's a problem.
when you're pressing past 100
Because in his mind, he's thinking the up motion is causing some kind of growth, or maybe he thinks it's causing damage. I don't know what he's thinking in his retarded head. But in the crazy head, you could be thinking many things. You're thinking, I don't know. Many things go through people's head. They're at the gym. They're crazy. And so they move this weight up and they think, wow, I'm building a muscle. And then they just drop it. Yeah, they think the up force is actually building muscle, or maybe they're thinking it's damaging. I have no clue. You're going to have to ask these people what they think in the crazy mind, okay?
pounds, the size of dumbbell becomes so massive that the increased range of motion, which everyone raves about as the number one benefit of dumbbells, is reduced. You cannot stretch your pecs as much. And even if you try to bring the arm out further, again, the dumbbells are so big that you can't get it to pass the freaking armpits. This is why Renaissance periodization uses.
Now, this is an eccentric movement. This is eccentric. This is an eccentric movement. The weights are going down on your body. The weight is going in the opposite direction, a down force.
Lighter weights with their dumbbell presses. Dr. Mike will only go up to around 80 pounds or so. So when it comes to pressing, it's the lighter weights which can serve you for a...
But you can forego the concentric part on the push going up high. If you want to break plateaus or get even stronger, the reason when they say getting stronger, they mean more damage. When you're doing the negatives, just the negatives in a eccentric movement, you're getting more damage in between the chest and the arm here, the muscles. That negative force causes damage on the myofibrillar because it's a down force. It's not an up force. The up force is not causing any damage to muscle fibers whatsoever. It's the down force that causes it. Remember, concentric is not associated with muscle damage. What's associated with muscle damage? The concentric movement. But it can't be just dropping the weight like that guy lifting and dropping in the opposite direction. It actually has to be a real eccentric movement.
long time, especially with slow and exaggerated technique, that gives you the length and position benefits. And actually, most presses have a very good resistance profile. But you need to...
That's why a good majority of the people, they do a lot of chest work, a lot of bench pressing and squat. And then you see them with a lot of mass on their bodies. Specifically, people that squat and bench press, they tend to have a lot of mass because this will work your back and your chest at the same time because it's a down force. So it's working these areas, the shoulder, chest, back area, whatever, some parts of the arm. That is they say in science, these are the two exercises they equate with the most superior exercises, the bench press and the squat. Yeah, because they're eccentric.
Great intentional hacks, right? But with dumbbell rows, first of all, your back is significantly stronger than your pecs. We have a situation where it's going to be almost impossible.
Your back is stronger than your pecs. It's because you're pulling. A pulling motion, you're able to pull more. Listen to me. You're able to pull more than you're able to push. Now I know people are going to say, well, I have a push day and a pull day. They have these people that come in, these crazy people like, it's a push day today or it's a pull day. But you'll find that pulling will be you can pull a lot more than you can push. That's why you're able to lift more on the deadlift. When you do deadlifting, you're able to pull more because you're pulling.
To milk light weights, even with slow and controlled technique, which now the dumbbell size is increased and it's only going to get bigger, especially since the stronger guys get
that dumbbell size is increasing, but guess what? Your body is not increasing. You're still small. You want to know why ants can lift 75? They can lift 10 times their body weight. Ants, because they're 75% muscle. You know how much muscle humans have? 40%. Yeah, they're not very strong. In the animal kingdom, most bigger animals have more muscles.
Screwed over with 10
We're one of the weakest animals on the planet compared to other animals. They destroy us.
pound jumps. So that's an extra plate per side if using the old school iron dumbbells, but if it's the rubber, it's still bigger, right? So as I just mentioned, with benching,
I really miss those iron dumbbells. Those were the best back in the day, man.
Stretching part is what matters, and the size of dumbbell compromise that, right? But with rows,
I tell you, there was nothing like gyms back in the 80s and 90s. They're fucking real dumbbells made out of solid fucking metal. And those plates, those 45 plates, man, they still have them at these like community gyms. They still have those old plates because they put them there. They were donated to the city. But yeah, that's what I like about the city gyms. They have all the old stuff still. But they got rid of the metal dumbbells and then they started bringing these rubber ones now, donated shit. It's a garbage.
stretching portion is not compromised. That has no bearing on you being able to fully stretch out your arm. What it does do, however...
Okay, think about it. What is that? It stretches out your arm. You're not stretching out your arm. You're just dropping the weight. You're throwing it. You're just ramping it up and throwing it because you want to get over with it quickly. You want to get over with it quickly because you hate it. That's why.
Is diminished to squeeze to a certain extent. But
this lifting slave, he hates himself.
Does it do so? In the exact position where we have sticking points. The shortened position, the least hypertrophic part of the lift. But now we have a standardized range of motion free weighted exercise. So although it is not the single arm T-bar row, it's not a normal T-bar row, it's not a lever based machine.
He does a lot of cable rows for his back. It's not doing anything the one arm row here was doing. It's just giving him more force production, being good at lifting that.
It's not perfection. It's still more length and biased than traditional rows. Because you stop at that point right where you have to grind.
Alex remembered me from my old channel. I've spoken with him. He hates me though. Because I'm not an asshole.
Through and use a little bit more cheating and you still get the complete stretch. You can actually round your upper back. There's no amount of arm lengthening that's going to be problematic. And if somehow your arms really...
The reason why they hate me is because I prove everything that I say and body does the talking. I prove everything I say and body does the talking, even in my old age. And I don't even bodybuild anymore. I've told people I never lied. I never faked anything on my channel or anything. I never lied. I don't work out. I don't do anything, okay? I don't. I never lied. I don't have any footage of any lifts because if I was lifting, I would have it, wouldn't I? I post it. I post anytime I've finally gone back to the gym. I post myself posing all the time, remember? Yeah. I just posted something now because I've returned to the gym. So when was the last time I posed? Well, it was months ago when I lost my channel, remember? I posed on there. And then there was a delay in that time too. I wasn't posing for a while because I wasn't really working out.
Are that long, well, you can always stand on.
And so now I show myself without working out for such a long period of time. How do I look for a person that doesn't work out? I'm not a chronic lifter. I'm not a gym slave. I'm not a lifting slave. How do I look? See? I look pretty good all the time because gyms don't build bodies.
Some mats for more range of motion. So this is
See, this is what he really looks like now. He's under the light. Look at his arms, his 12-inch little arms, his little body and his little lats. He's really, really, really small. He's probably off the cutting drugs or the cutting supplements or whatever he took. He's off of that cutting stuff, which gave the illusion of him being big. But in fact, he's just a little boy. He's tiny. Look at his neck. He's always doing his neck. Remember his neck? He's always doing the neck, but his neck is tiny. Look at his face. Look at him. He's a tiny little boy. It's a little guy. Yeah.
Easy solution. Now with sagittal/horizontal pulls, we want less elbow flexion, so not pulling past the body for lat biasing. However, the function of scapular retraction is independent from arm motion because the scapula connects the clavicle to the humerus, so biceps assistance is not
What the hell are he talking about, man? Is this for entertainment purposes or what?
needed to hit the upper back. You can still squeeze with locked arms, as seen in Kelso shrugs. But of course, this applies to horizontal pulls.
Wasn't Michael Hearn just doing those? He was just talking about those Kelso shrugs. He must be watching every influencer and just throwing this stuff in. He's seen my video because I targeted towards him. He's seen my last video talking about Concentric, so now he's talking about that partial lengthening, this, that. Then he talks about Kelso because he's seen Michael Hearn. I've seen Michael Hearn. I watch his channel. I've seen what he does there. I know what Michael Hearn does, and he's copying him.
On a similar note, anyone remember Nether Rose? Turns out they actually were legit, being lengthened bias and focusing purely
Oh my God, and I've seen these too recently. Jesus, he's copying everybody.
on the traps and rhomboids. Now for dumbbell rows, the implication here is that we're pulling in the active range for the lats, yet we'll still get yoked since the scapula can fully retract plus protract. So the overall stretch while being horizontal
We're gonna get full yoke. We're gonna get a stretch. The stretch is to him stretching his arm back and forth. He's not damaging any muscles there.
is maximized. Basically, dumbbell rows do it all, including having good carryover to deadlifts of all things. By the way, this same logic does not apply to vertical frontal pulls like wide grip pull-ups, because the final squeeze at lower levels of humeral elevation, so around 90 degrees, is where the lats have the best leverage. So make sure the chin gets high. And for yoking,
Maybe I should call him chronic inflammation slave.
means you would need that dead hang, but unfortunately, that does not stretch your lats more. Therefore, it's not a free lengthened partial like
See, he was listening to my videos. He was listening to my videos. This is partial. This is not really stretching the lats. Oh, it's not. It's not doing anything, actually. It's really not doing anything.
in dumbbell rows. So what I'm saying is, it cuts out the range of motion just enough.
It just makes you better at doing that movement. You're practicing at getting better at it. It's an adaptation process.
So you can really focus on the stretch. And now you have a smooth movement pattern. Although if you still want to cheat, that's fine too. We can argue it's even more lengthened bias. And in fact, the weighted stretch is now intensified. And Menno Henselman actually pointed this out in one of his recent videos on temp.
The weighted stretch is now intensified. There's no weighted stretch. The weighted stretch would have to be with you tying up weights on your arms and walking around with them. That's a weighted stretch. Not, I'm going to just grab a weight and throw it up and down in the air, back and forth. Is not a weighted stretch.
Suggesting that controlling yet quickly going down provides a better stretch.
When you are lowering the weight relatively fast in the bottom position, if you are not letting
Oh my God, I watched this guy too. Holy shit, man. He's watching all the channels I watch too. I know what these guys do. I listen to them sometimes. But I have my own opinions. They just keep popping up on my feed, so I know who they are. Yeah, I know what he's going to say. The lowering it, just like I've told people on my channel, it's the lowering, the intensity, like how I read it there, remember? It's you can go rapidly or you can go very slow.
the weight hit your legs, which you shouldn't, because then you lose muscle tension. You have to actively decelerate the weight, and that requires high forces. So when you're lowering the weight
Decelerate, very slow.
faster compared to very slowly, you actually have extra emphasis on the bottom position, because then in the bottom position you have to fully decelerate the weight, re-accelerate it to initiate the next concentric action. So not only do you get a potentiating effect from the stretch reflex, you also get the benefit of having very high forces in the bottom position, which might enhance stretch mediated hypertrophy. So in the end, the seemingly obvious benefit of lowering
Yeah, but it's not going to damage if you're trained. It says unaccustomed exercise are known to get what? Widespread muscle damage. You understand me? Even if you were to get the concentric here, the stretch, let's say at the bottom, It's protected now by the repeated butt effect and a whole bunch of other things, adaptation process, and it's resilient from getting damaged with the second repeated bout. Like it said there, remember what I read to you, PubMed.
Weight more slowly and emphasizing the concentric actually doesn't translate into greater tension on the muscle, and it might actually reduce the amount of tension in the most important position, which is typically the bottom position when the muscle is most stretched and lengthened.
And this is something that I've been saying for years when I used to talk about power shrugs and G rows. Looks like 2016 Alex was right on the mark for so many of these concepts. There was just no science at the time, but now we know it's about the length of position. So even though tempo might not really make...
No, he's not. He's just a copycat all over the internet. He's been watching my videos because he knows who I am.
a big...
And he's seen my lifting slave videos because I directed towards him. He looks at them.
difference, provided that you're going to failure, the effort is there. I wouldn't say there's any negatives, no pun intended, by going down quickly on rows, actually in most back movements in general. And it just makes it that much closer to a T-bar row. Now,
Nah, there's nothing going on there.
another thing is that because we're doing a unilateral row, we actually increase motor unit recruitment. And this can be an absolute game changer for...
Okay, that I'll agree. You are recruiting motor units. That's about it. What's motor units? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Can you touch it? No, it's not a myofibrillar. But you are increasing some motor units, okay, and some androgen receptors for that maximum force production. Okay, it's chemical strength.
advanced bodybuilders who want that last 5-10% of gains. Especially if you compete and you have lat imbalances, which has affected...
Especially if you compete. These imbalances in your lats, how is this going to help?
So many of us, I certainly suffer from this problem. This could be the one exercise that corrects this issue once and for all. And the insane advantage of dumbbell rows is that they're incredibly stable. You would think, oh, it's unilateral, it's less stable. No.
Have you ever seen people old school? Back in my old high school, I saw pictures in the 1930s of the rowing team. The rowing team actually had super wide backs. You want to know why they had super wide backs? Because they used oars on both sides, and they would row with both oars, and the tension and the rowing would be consistent. So it's a eccentric movement. It's not concentric. It's an eccentric movement. They're moving the oars, from the front to the back. So it's eccentric and it's consistent. They're doing a lot. That's heavy. That's a lot of heavy damage there. Yeah, it's an overworking of that muscle.
Complete opposite, no matter how you do it. But the way I'm suggesting is with a tripod stance. That in itself is already a strong position to be rowing from and being bent over, right? And then when you have the other arm brace, you are completely locked in. And speaking about bracing, your lower back will never be a problem, and especially not your core. This is not a bent over barbell row. If anyone says that this is a con for dumbbell rows, then they're really taking things too far. I wouldn't listen to anything that...
Oh my God, he would show natural hypertrophy. The worst guy. This guy's so shit.
Say they are extreme dogmatic motherfuckers who probably never did the exercise with heavy weights, because you can overload to the max and you won't feel your posterior chain being a limiting factor. Like, please don't even bring that up as an argument. That's a fabrication to sell you nonsense. So stability is incredibly high, and the proof is that force production is through the goddamn roof. Whether using cheat...
Yeah, force production is through the roof, but you never got physically stronger. But you could get more force if you get bigger and stronger. You understand me? Through eccentric exercises.
Form or not, this is the...
Eccentric exercises are superior to concentric exercises. Let me see if I could bring that one up too. Well, I don't really type that in there, but no, I can't type it now. They'll tell you. Meta-analysis showed that when eccentric exercises were performed at high intensities compared with concentric training, total strength and eccentric strength increased more significantly. So something that would increase your strength more significantly and build muscle must be superior. Listen what they said. Total strength and eccentric strength increased more significantly. So total strength and eccentric strength increased significantly, both. Yeah, the effects of eccentric versus concentric resistance training on muscle strength. It is associated with it's superior. You can't read this short version, man. You know, meta-analysis. Yeah. It says the aim of this systematic review was to determine if eccentric exercise is superior to concentric exercise in stimulating gains in muscle strength and mass. And guess what they found? It is. They found that meta-analysis showed that when eccentric exercise was performed at higher intensities compared with concentric training, total strength and eccentric strength increased more significantly. So there's the finding. Get it, man? Yeah, broski. It's superior. Yeah. Further research is required to investigate the underlying mechanism of this specificity and function, significance in terms of transferability of strength gains to more complex human movements. Yes. Yeah, high intensity showed more effective promoting increases in muscle mass and measured as muscle girth. So eccentric training performed at high intensities was shown to be more effective in promoting increases in muscle mass measured in muscle girth. In addition, eccentric training also showed a trend towards increased muscle cross-sectional area measured with magnetic resonance imaging, computerized tomography, subgroups, so forth and so on. Analysts suggest that the superiority of the eccentric training to increase muscle strength and mass appears to be related to the higher loads developed during eccentric contractions, because you could do more loads because it's in the opposite direction. Remember, it's easier to run downstairs than it is to run up a flight of stairs, and you get more when you run down because it's the downforce. But I know it's really hard for people to understand this because their brains are so small. When you have a small brain, it's hard to understand because you've been eating all this weird artificial food, especially grains. Grains are known to shrink your brain, so I know it's really hard to understand these things. It's confusing, yes.
Not, this is the unilateral row that allows you to lift the most amount of weight. What does that say about motor unit recruitment and force production? By definition,
It means nothing. It means that the concentric exercise is not associated with muscle damage. What's it associated with then? What's it associated with? Nothing. Force production. Getting better at lifting this weight on the opposite direction against gravity.
it must be peaked out. And it is, because even when we look at chest supported rows at the same angle, or even higher for that matter, because most people do it off of 45 to 60
He's never growing. He's been like this for the whole decade. He's never growing, man.
degree angle. Incline
And his body doesn't really change much other than recently he went and did something fake to fake it because he's a influencer.
your torso is
Wants to grow his channel.
elevated. Basically, what you were told not to do on a bent over row, they're doing this on chest support.
I don't know if you know this. He's a trainer in a gym actually in Montreal.
Not flat like a seal row, which I argue is the best chest supported variation, right? But with an upright torso and an extra ounce of stability by
He's obsessed with getting bigger, but he's never gonna get bigger. And there's no exercise or nothing in this world that he can do that will make him big.
removing the bracing, somehow, strict or not, same conditions, you lift less. The point is, force production is not higher with that variation compared to the old school dumbbell row. Clearly not a deal breaker. And when we talk about the T-bar variation, actually here we could use some body English, where you're
I mean, this is like recruiting people as lifting slaves. He runs you through this whole thing to try to condition you to become a lifting slave. He draws you in, sucks you in, and become like me, a lifting slave, gym slave, yes. Fitness
Meaning
slave, man, too.
all the way back. One can argue that there's even greater cheating potential, yet we don't see people lifting more weight than the bent over version, even if there is that potential limiter. What does that say? This force production thing is completely blown out of the water. In my sincere opinion, just by looking at what real lifters are doing, they're interchangeable from a muscle activation standpoint. You believe it's already been a year? for limited time.
Like I said, the reason why eccentric is superior, because when you get bigger, myofibulars, more myofibular growth, you get stronger. So here's the thing. You still are going to do concentric exercises in the gym. And you're going to do some eccentric. But if you focus more on the eccentric as opposed to focusing too much on the concentric, you're going to get bigger and stronger and focusing on damaging these muscle fibers so they can repair and remodel bigger, better, stronger, and faster. Strength, power, speed, and performance. So you will become much stronger. Your strength will increase exponentially because now the motor units and these androgen receptors, they have somewhere to proliferate and attach to.
You can get any pair of Barbell Apparel jeans, chinos, or pants for $99 each. I wear them every day, in and out of the gym.
Wow, he's looking so sexy there. Maybe that's the picture.
Because of the most comfortable pants I own, and look godly as a non-leg day skipper. Feels tailor-made, designed for hardcore training or just chilling in general.
He looks godly.
Get yours now, and you won't wear anything else. Trust, that's an honest satisfaction guarantee. I and Barbell Apparel know you'll be impressed. Wear it, hike in it, live in it. Do whatever you want. There's no restrictions. And if you ever have any issues, which I highly...
Yes, Alex.
Dumbbell rowing strength. No lie. If you're doing 100 pounds for reps, it is possible that one day you're doing 200 pounds.
See how he swings it? He swings it at the bottom. He just releases it. Doesn't do anything. He just swings it. Watch.
Sure, with a little bit of body English, but imagine...
See how fast it came down? It's a swinging motion. He's swinging it up and swinging it
You
down.
already had a big back. Now it's going to get even bigger. Like the back...
That's all you have to do. And that's the whole thing with concentric exercises. You're really just swinging the weight. You're trying to put a lot of weight on it and swing it upward. The T-bar row, that's the whole point about the T-bar row, why it goes in on an angle. It's more difficult if you're trying to pull it way up with your back. That's why you can't use your back bent over to lift anything. You have to be in a position like how they teach people to lift boxes. You use your legs to lift that weight. Your arms are holding on, but you lift it up with your back upright. You understand me? Yeah, and it's really swinging these swinging motions. They just throw the weight up and dump it. You ever see Olympic lifters? They're just throwing the weight up in the air. They're really throwing the weight up in the air. They can't lift that weight, man. Are you crazy? They can't lift all that weight. But they've practiced at throwing it up in the air because it's the concentric movement. You're throwing it against gravity. Like him. Watch his arm. Look, watch.
Back and legs are the two muscles of the natty body that will blow your fucking mind in terms of how heavy you can lift. And the back...
Holy shit, it's blowing my mind already, bro. I didn't know how heavy I could lift. Oh man, thank you, Alex. You're amazing, bro.
I don't think we've seen the full potential yet because we can mix in the old school and the new school. But in this case, dumbbell rows are certainly optimal by fitting the modern criteria. And another...
I think cable eccentrics are much better for this lat thing, but okay, whatever.
Important benefit is that you can leverage the rib cage. And this was actually a common practice in the golden era. So what you have is an in and out motion. But the out motion, where you're right about to get that final squeeze, is reduced slightly in range of motion, hence being a bit more lengthened bias, right? But the stretching part is maximized because it's not just neutral now, which if you did traditional chest-supported dumbbell rows with both arms, you might have trouble going all the way in, right? Well, here you can actually do it. So you're getting even more of a stretch. And that's another unique advantage that doesn't require an awkward setup. See, if you're doing a one-arm cable row, it's locked into a neutral position. So you can get a wonderful stretch in your lats, but it's not the best stretch. In order to do that, you need to offset your torso angle such that you're over here, or twist your body inwards this way to get an amazing stretch. And this is what the optimal guys are actually doing on lat pull downs and many rows. They adjust their body angle so that the resistance is coming slightly inwards, right? But with a dumbbell row, you can automatically assume this position because the tripod stance forces an offset torso, and then the dumbbell is coming through you, getting that perfect deep way to stretch with a little bit of upper back grounding if you so choose, and then you're coming out. And again, you have that...
Yeah, if you eat enough carbohydrates, you can load more of the sarcoplasmic shit in there. Phony muscle
free
growth.
length and partial because the range of motion is slightly cut out. And you're maximally lengthening the lats in a rhythmic...
You're maximally lengthening the lats. You aren't. You're just dropping the weight. You're just throwing it up and down. I'm not blind, man. You're not moving slow with it, and it's Yeah, it's not an eccentric movement. It's not. It's not. It's concentric.
Smooth fashion with tremendous progression potential that actually corrects lat imbalances. If that's not optimal, then I don't know what is. No complicated setup.
I don't know either, Alex, man. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm confused.
You can learn this today. And the best part is, the stronger you get, all you gotta do is walk over to the rack.
See? The stronger you do, all you have to do is what? Walk over to the rack and?
Grab the dumbbells, which are already set. Put your freaking hand down and row away. Rowing has never been
Row away, row your life away. Row your boat gently down the stream.
complicated. It's the most dummy-proof thing you can do. And even if you try to fuck it up with excessive cheating, like bad cheating, you're still gonna get a massive bag, good genetics or not. So the stretching aspect is almost as good as $5,000 Prime Fitness rowing machines. Now, if you have that, great, go right ahead. I envy you. But for most of us, dumbbell rows will get the job done, and it's basically all you need. If you're gonna talk about unilateral rows, this is the one row that covers you, and you'll always be able to milk out a little bit more progress. And hey, if you max out dumbbells at your gym, buy some Olympic dumbbells. Use some 10-pound plates or even 25s. And again, the 25s being slightly thicker is technically.
This is in his crazy days when he was like, he put these plates on this bar, and then he's like throwing it up beer mode. This was a long time ago. Look how crazy he was. Look, he's got a bald spot up there. Look how crazy he went.
Not a con in this context. If you just want to get the way to stretch, and this is what's going to allow you to row 200 plus pounds.
You want the weighted stretch. No, you're just activating these motor units.
Which I and many other natties have already done. But these days, I'll just use the heaviest dumbbells in the gym, and I'll high rep.
Him and these damn natties, man. That takes the cake, bro. He's got a complex about this natty thing.
So, croc rows, remember those? Now we know why they work so well for hypertrophy. It's just an efficient option. So
hypertrophy? Hypertrophy means something's getting bigger. What type of hypertrophy? You mean strength? You're getting bigger in strength, or you're getting bigger muscles? You're not hypertrophying, because I don't see any hypertrophy there, dude.
That's it. Just some basic points to consider. As I've shown, dumbbell rows tick most of the optimal boxes. So I hope
maybe he is. He's sarcoplasmic hypertrophying for every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water being drawn in there. So yeah, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's building sarcoplasmic muscles there. Yeah, okay, hypertrophying. Yeah.
Them in on his shop. There's a reason why they're still used today, even by the top pros. They're not going away. They can quite literally take you from beginner to elite, and elite to an even higher level of backward.
Oh, that's like Jason Blaha. He can take you from dad bod to daddy bod. I guess Alex could do the same.
Fine. So enjoy the way to stretch.
I do. I enjoy the way to stretch. Wow, you look really muscular there, Alex. What happened to the muscularity? It seems to be going away. All right, friends, I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. That was a long video. Comment down below and tell me what you think about that. Interesting. Yeah, Alex. Leonidas, my friend, is just a concentric. He's so confused. He doesn't know anything about lifting. He does a bunch of stuff, but he just doesn't know. See you later, friends.